Well, this morning, an investigation is underway into whether Englewood, New Jersey police officers used excessive force during a Black Lives Matter march over the weekend.
Police moved in on protesters, knocking some of them to the ground after two participants stepped away from the planned route to break up a fight between two other people not connected to the protest.
Oh my God. Stop! Stop! Stop!
Okay, so the incident has led to an internal investigation as well as a thoughtful Facebook response from the mayor of Englewood, who is also a participant in that march. Mayor Michael Wilds joins us now. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for joining us right now to walk us through exactly what happened over the weekend here. This video now trending. 4 people arrested. So from your vantage point and from what you know right now, what happened?
So just by way of background, I'm a former federal prosecutor, so I'm a little more sensitive since an investigation is underway, and I was actually a witness that I cannot share all of my thoughts, and that I'm a fiduciary to the city. But I have to tell you, I have been walking with this group, and this is my 12th time, and it's on my Sabbath. I'm actually a Sabbath observant Jew, and I walk miles to get there. There was a spate of shootings that had happened in our city, and I was looking forward. It's kind of, you walk in solidarity, you talk about what's going on, you get ideas, and you bring it back to the governing body. And this past Saturday, we had gone 1 or 2 blocks. There was a fight between 2 teenagers. It was a nasty dispute. And the Ainsworth Minot, the gentleman who leads the protest, and a pastor ran to break it up. After they had broken up, the police came on the scene, and they quickly shut down the protest. And then the video that you see kind of documents what happened.
Yeah.
Very disheartening, obviously, to see these visuals. I'm generally very proud of my police department, I have to tell you.
Right.
And they have protected the interests of pedestrians and the walkers, and have always introduced themselves and walked alongside and driven with great care. So this is actually a national conversation spilling out on our streets that really needs to be looked at through independent eyes for good lessons learned.
Right. Mayor Wilds, you mentioned you did speak to all of those who were arrested. You mentioned Ainsworth, the organizer of that rally, who was arrested. He was charged with assaulting a police as well as obstruction. What points in this incident are most concerning to you at this point?
Well, at this point, I want to make sure that whatever happened, due process was accorded, that if people were being processed and they had the right to a lawyer, it was accorded to them. If it wasn't part of the protocol when somebody's just being processed, that they were treated, obviously, with respect and deference, and that they were safe, because I heard that there were some injuries. So obviously, I'm concerned now that all the forensics and the content be looked at by a third party.
Yeah.
You know, I had taken Ainsworth to meet with the police chief and the deputy chief, and we talked about some of the things retrospectively about body cams, a better engagement with the community, and truth be told, having an independent authority police the police. And all of these things seem to be more relevant.
Right,
now.
but when you look at the video, sir, when you look at the video, I'm hearing you talking about due process here, there seems to be a bit of a use of force here, and I'm not sure if that's concerning to you. Also, the police officers don't seem, some of them don't seem to be wearing masks, as they're in very close proximity to individuals they're placed under arrest. So there's a few things happening here, but specifically the use of force, because that's the reason why a lot of people are protesting to begin with. They don't feel like they can trust the police.
Right, and I think the notion of de-escalating and exercising judgment is at issue here. And in the pandemic, not wearing a mask and taking something to a level that's unnecessary or maybe over the top is something that we have to see. Now, which side was over the top? At what point did this turn? Again, an independent body with all the testimony and video. These videos now become a source of content for us to view these things. You know, these conversations have to be made better. People are criticizing the one elected official, that's me, who repeatedly has come. There was no other elected officials there. Is now under criticism for not staying the entire evening. I was working behind the scenes. I actually came back to make sure everybody got released and due process was accorded. Who did what, and if they did it properly, is going to come under great scrutiny. Either way, this is an important conversation, and new technology videos and new methods or rules of engagement have to be deployed. And whatever happens in the city of Englewood, we generally set a trend for the rest of the county.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
are going to be lessons learned for the rest of our community and police. We have 70 municipalities, if you would, in Bergen County alone.
Right.
Everybody's going to be watching what happened here. But I want you to understand, our department is made up of stellar officers. If there's an exception or bad judgment, that will come out. And again, I plan on continuing to be at these peaceful protests because I said to everybody, as long as they're peaceful, I'm going. I didn't see any breach by the members here. In fact, I have to tell you, the young man that was arrested actually warned everybody because there was an altercation a few weeks before that if there's anything, stay close, don't engage. And they were very vigilant about being respectful.
I hear you saying you have full confidence. We're out of time here. I hear you saying you have full confidence in the police officers. But are you also having, maybe a town hall to hear from the residents who may not actually feel that way, especially after looking at the video?
I think it's important because, again, am I jaded by my relationships, by my Boy Scout notion of the nobility of law enforcement, perhaps? But again, you cannot damn a group because of a mistake, even by a good officer who may have made a mistake, or a collective that was following protocol. Now, again, people are up in their grill, as you can see in the video. Somebody has to determine ultimately if the probable cause that they saw to make those arrests was a legitimate arrest, and we're going to learn from these things. So I have an open mind. Again, I'm here to make sure that when I leave office, I've left it stronger, and the methods and procedures of protecting our residents and making Englewood a stronger city and its confidence in its police a lot stronger than we started.
All right, Mayor, I just have a quick question for you. What do you make of the number of police officers that were there? We hear there were maybe about 15 people that were actually protesting. There were Englewood police officers as well as officers from neighboring jurisdictions that did respond. Do you think that the police presence was also excessive in this case?
There was an explanation that wasn't accorded to me as to why there were so many police and why there were vehicles from neighboring communities that, not our, that were from a distant. I also didn't like the visual of one officer trying to close his day stick and he's making a loud sound. That sound resonated with me as an inappropriate sound, given what was being trying to affect it, which was a peaceful protest. So the truth is, there were other events going on in the area, but the deployment to me looked excessive. That's just my impression, but I'm not a gentleman who can, in the real time, make that call because I didn't see parts of it that may have been pivotal. But I think that the video speaks for itself, and we have to make sure that somebody looks at this independently.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time this morning. Do appreciate it. And let us know what that investigation entails, what the results of the investigation are, because we're going to stay on top of the story. So thank you for making the time this morning.
And your comments are well taken. The community needs to express itself. They need to know that I'm engaged. They need to know that the police chief and the deputy chief and best practices are going to be deployed. And I think an independent review of this will give people that comfort. And I'm not jaded here. I'm with an eye and ears open.